Hey, Kristen. You can give birth all by yourself, like a sea turtle, right? Good luck with the egg laying. Late at night, by the seaside, Jake jokingly said to me. This happened while I was being hit by the pain of labor. Huh? Jake? Wait a minute. Please. Don't leave me behind. Ignoring my pleading, Jake left, abandoning me on the dark seaside. In the midst of surging labor pains, unable to grasp the situation, I fell into panic. Unable to stand due to the pain in my stomach. I felt the waves gradually approaching where I was sitting. However, at that moment, my first thought was that protecting the baby in my belly was the top priority. In the pitch darkness of the seaside, I held my belly and desperately tried to escape this situation. My name is Kristen. I am a full-time housewife, about to turn 30. I met Jake, my husband, in a university club. Jake, a year older than me, was popular among girls with his slim, suntanned body and amusing storytelling skills. So, when I, plain and unremarkable, confessed my feelings and Jake agreed to date me, I couldn't believe it wasn't a lie. After graduating from university, I passed the teacher recruitment exam and became a middle school teacher. Jake started working at a major venture company. As we got used to our new environments and were busy with work, it became difficult to spend time together like we did in our student days. One day, about 2 years after we started working, Jake suddenly proposed, saying, Kristen, I want you to marry me. I had no reason to refuse and accepted his proposal with immense joy. Kristen, I have a request. After we get married, I want you to quit your job and become a full-time housewife. Honestly, I still wanted to continue working, but I also wanted to support Jake, who was always busy. Okay, Jake. I haven't focused much on housework or cooking since I was focused on my job. But I'll try my best to learn. Thank you, Kristen. I'll work harder too. I won't let you experience any hardship. I'll make you happy. And so, we got married. Afterward, I strived to get accustomed to household chores in our newlywed life. While Jake worked hard, often staying late at work, I would wait up for Jake, even when he came home late from overtime. Jake would thank me, saying, Thanks for always being there. Thinking of you helps me get through any job. Then one day, Jake came home unusually early, excitedly telling me something. I did it. I did it, Kristen. I got promoted. They told me today. Really? Jake, that's amazing. Congratulations. That moment of shared joy was blissful. But from that day on, I started to notice a change in Jake's attitude. Hey, Kristen, lately the food tastes a bit sweet. Could you make it saltier? I don't really like sweet flavors. Oh, sorry. I'll be more careful with my cooking next time. Until then, Jake always said my cooking was delicious. But gradually, those compliments decreased and were replaced by complaints about the seasoning. Previously, Jake actively helped with household chores on his days off. But gradually, he stopped, spending his days lounging on the sofa and fiddling with his smartphone. Even seeing these changes in Jake, I thought, Jake must be tired from his successful career. He deserves to relax on his days off. So I never voiced my dissatisfaction. Regarding the seasoning of the food, I thought our relationship had grown to where we could speak openly. So I studied and worked hard to make dishes that he would genuinely find delicious. However, no matter how hard I tried, Jake's attitude only became stricter. When Jake came home late at night, he would carelessly hand me his shirt, saying, I'm wearing this tomorrow, so wash and dry it for me. Sometimes, when dinner was ready, he would say, I feel like eating pizza today, call for delivery. When I showed Jake a dress I bought with the money I had saved from working when I was single, he sometimes yelled at me, Hey, Don't waste money like that. Furthermore, what was clearly different now was that Jake started coming home drunk late at night more often. Hey, Jake. You've been coming home drunk a lot lately, haven't you? Be quiet. Unlike you, I'm busy. I'm so stressed out every day. Hey, don't talk like that, Jake. I'm just worried about your health. Shut up. Don't talk back to me, a mere wife. It's my money I'm earning. How I use it is my business. Saying this, Jake became angry, almost as if he was about to hit me. Even though he was drunk, I had never seen Jake like this before. I was shocked and scared, and couldn't say anything more. Since then, even when Jake came home drunk late at night, I just let it pass without saying anything. Recently, I started to feel that my relationship with Jake was changing. I used to look at the clock and eagerly wait for Jake to come home from work. But now, I feel more at ease when he's out, thinking it's better than being at home and getting scolded. The me who used to look forward to Jake coming home felt like it had gone far away. Even thinking like this every day, I still felt grateful towards Jake and felt no different about relying on him as a full-time housewife. Due to my love for Jake and a sense of duty to protect the family, I couldn't strongly oppose him and endured minor things. One night, while eating dinner alone, I suddenly felt nauseous and rushed to the bathroom. While feeling intense nausea, the thought, could it be, crossed my mind. The next day, I visited the gynecologist. The test revealed that I was pregnant. On the way back from the gynecologist, I was filled with mixed feelings of happiness and anxiety. I couldn't imagine how Jake would react when I told him about the baby. Judging from Jake's usual attitude, he might be surprised or seem inconvenienced. He might even say he doesn't want the child. Recently, Jake had been coming home drunk almost every night. So, I decided to tell him the next morning before he went to work. Jake, I have something to tell you. Actually, I'm pregnant. What? Pregnant? Is that true? It's true. I went to the hospital yesterday. The test confirmed I'm pregnant. I told him, feeling anxious about what Jake might say. However, contrary to my expectations, Jake's eyes lit up. And he burst into joy with a big smile, saying, "Yes. Hey, Kristen. That's great. That's amazing. So, boy or girl? Which one? We don't know the gender yet. We'll find out later." Jake bashfully said, I see. That's right, it's too early," and smiled. Seeing Jake smile, I felt relieved as if the old him had come back. However, that joy was short-lived. Jake still continued to treat me arrogantly, saying things like, "Hey, polish my shoes and keep them clean." And, "Why is there never any alcohol when I want to drink?" Yet, as time passed and my belly grew, Jake seemed to gain awareness as a father. His arrogant attitude decreased, and he gradually became kinder-like before. When the baby is born, I want to live in a bigger house, as this one is inconvenient. A house without steps would be safer. Eh? Steps? Do you mean it's dangerous because the child might fall? No, I was thinking it would be terrible if you, with your big belly, fell. Eh? What are you talking about? My belly will go back to normal after the baby is born, right? Jake smiled. Oh, right, of course. I always loved Jake's slightly natural character. Even though Jake is harsh to me now, once the baby is born, he might become the kind. Old Jake again. Somewhere inside, I was optimistically thinking that everything might turn out well. With these great expectations and a little anxiety, my pregnancy progressed smoothly. And before I knew it, the final month arrived. One Sunday night, Jake, who was unusually at home, suddenly suggested, "Hey, Kristen. Let's go for a drive." Because, Kristen, you've been staying at home all the time recently. Aren't you bored being cooped up? Besides, it will be difficult to go out as a couple once the baby is born, so we should do it now.
Yeah.
But what if something happens while we're out? That makes me anxious. I'll be with you, so it's okay. Even a pregnant woman in her final month needs some exercise, right? We haven't been out together for a long time. How about a date?
Yeah.
That's true. Let's go then. Honestly, I was more worried about something happening to the baby if we went out. But I was very happy that Jake had invited me in such a way. Certainly, a little exercise is good for an easy delivery, even in the final month. Thinking this, I sat in the passenger seat and went out with Jake. Jake drove for about an hour and eventually stopped the car in a dark place that looked like some parking lot. He got out of the driver's seat, came around to the passenger side, opened the door, and took my hand to help me out. Where is this? The sea? Did we come to the sea? It was pitch dark around us, but I could smell the sea and hear the sound of the waves. I held Jake's hand and walked with him on the sandy beach. It was difficult to walk on the soft sand, even though I was wearing sneakers. You know, when we were students, we went to various places like mountain climbing and river playing. But we never went to the sea together. I just remembered that and wanted to come to the sea with you, Kristen. It might be our last chance. Eh? Last? Isn't that a bit dramatic? We can go to the sea anytime we want, right? I waited for Jake to laugh and reply like he used to, saying, Oh.
Yeah.
That's right. But he just held my hand in silence. I thought I might have missed his reply because of the sound of the waves, but then suddenly, I felt a pain in my stomach. I gripped Jake's hand tightly and signaled that something was wrong. The pain in my stomach grew stronger, and I thought it might be labor pains. Jake. My stomach hurts. Maybe the labor has started. What? Labor pains! Wait, wasn't the due date still ahead? Anyway. Let's go to the hospital now. Come on, Jake, let's get to the car. I was on the verge of panic, worried about the baby and the pain in my stomach. But Jake, for some reason, remained silent, released my hand, and stepped back. Jake? What's wrong? Let's go to the car. The baby, we need to hurry. Then, why not give birth right here? Kristen, what? Jake? What are you saying? Confused by Jake's sudden words, I reached out for his help in the dark. But instead of taking my hand, he brushed it off and laughed, replying, It's a good idea, right? Giving birth in this beautiful and vast nature will surely make the baby grow up healthy. What? Jake, what do you mean? What's going on? Why would you say something like that? Well, I'll go home first. You can do your best to give birth alone here. It's fine. After all, people in the past all gave birth this way. Jake said this and laughed as if he was enjoying himself. I was confused and bewildered by his unbelievable behavior and couldn't find the words to reply. Tears welled up in my eyes, overwhelmed by his cruel words and behavior. But I couldn't tell if they were tears of sadness or anger. Jake picked up my shoulder bag that had fallen to the ground, took out my smartphone, and put it in his pocket. Well, I was a bit troubled, but this has made up my mind. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. What? Wait. Jake. Where are you going? Please. Come back. The pain in my stomach intensified, and I found it difficult to stand, so I ended up sitting on the sand. Then, I just kept calling out Jake's name. Well then.
See ya.
Just like a sea turtle, Do your best and lay your eggs here. Dot. Laughing, Jake said these words to me and walked away, waving.
Bye. Bye.
No matter how desperately I called Jake's name, he never looked back. Good morning. Let's do our best today too. The next morning, in the eerily quiet office, Jake's energetic voice echoed as he greeted everyone. As I heard the sound of his leather shoes approaching, I thought about how insensitive he could be. He seemed completely unaware of the strange atmosphere in the office. No, it wasn't about being aware, maybe he was just indifferent to others. As I was thinking this, Jake, who had approached, finally noticed that I was sitting at his desk and let out a surprised and bizarre scream. Hi, oh, a ghost. Did Jake think that I, with my big belly, had come back to life after supposedly dying at the beach yesterday? Had someone in the office reported to the boss? A senior man in a suit came in a hurry and spoke to me. I'm sorry. What happened to you? The man seemed to be Jake's boss. Jake, confused but polite, began to explain to the man. Well, this woman is my wife. But yesterday, I thought, Kristen, what? You thought what about yesterday? That I was supposed to be dead on the beach, and now you wonder why I'm here? My shocking statement caused a stir in the office. To the boss, who was puzzled about what to do between Jake and me, I explained what happened last night. After Jake left me behind, I couldn't move because of the pain in my belly and just sat on the shore, unable to move. If it was labor, I thought there would be a moment when the pain subsided, and then I could go out to the road and ask for help. However, while sitting still, I noticed that waves, which weren't there before, were approaching my calves. I realized it was getting close to high tide. I wondered how much the waves would surge at high tide. Thinking I would be swept away by the waves, I panicked. I wanted to call for help, but Jake had taken my smartphone. Unable to speak due to the pain and panic, I desperately crawled on the sandy beach, trying to escape the waves. Then, from a distance on the beach, I heard the laughter of a little girl and a voice that seemed to belong to an older man. The two voices were getting closer. Hey, Grandpa. Come on. If we don't hurry, the turtle will be gone. The girl ran around nimbly, chased by an elderly gentleman in earnest. As they got close enough for me to hear their conversation clearly, the girl and the old man realized that what they thought was a turtle was actually a person, and they looked very surprised. Please, could you call an ambulance? The old man saw my condition, hurriedly pulled out his phone from his pocket, and called an ambulance. Until the ambulance arrived, the girl and the old man helped me walk to a safe place where the sand was dry. They encouraged me, saying it was going to be okay, until the ambulance arrived. Later, the old man who helped me said that he was on his way back from dining out with his granddaughter that day. They approached because they thought the figure struggling on the beach, which was me, looked like a sea turtle laying eggs. Indeed, from a distance, my big belly on the sandy beach might have looked like a turtle. No one would have thought that a pregnant woman was struggling and suffering near the sea. At the hospital, it turned out to be false labor. There was no problem with the baby, and the birth would happen a little later than planned, as the doctor told me. However, the doctor seemed to feel that something was not normal when he saw me covered in seawater and sand, crying. I was given a room in the hospital and pajamas to wear. Lying on that bed, I cried all night long, feeling a mix of sadness for being abandoned by Jake and relief that my baby and I were safe. At first, I was overwhelmed with sadness towards Jake for making me go through such an ordeal. But as time passed and my emotions settled, my anxiety turned into anger towards him. Jake intended to abandon both me and our baby. Shaking with anger, I thought about reporting Jake's misdeeds to the police. But as I sat up in bed, I changed my mind. That wouldn't be enough. Before reporting him to the police, I decided to expose everything he did to me to his colleagues at his company. The next morning, after thanking the doctors and nurses who had cared for me, I left the hospital and went straight to Jake's company. Jake intended to let me and our unborn baby die by abandoning us. Jake's boss turned pale with disbelief after hearing my entire story. The colleagues in the office whispered among themselves about Jake, with some exclaiming, "That's horrible, and what kind of person does that?" Jake tried to explain, saying, "No, it's not like that. It's really not," in a flustered manner. But no one was listening to him. "Excuse me. Could someone lend me a phone? Actually, Jake took my smartphone last night, and I don't have it to use." Then, Jake's boss immediately lent me his smartphone, and I called the police. Soon after, the police arrived at the company and Jake was taken into custody. According to Jake's statement, he had fallen for a woman at the stripper club and wanted to continue the relationship with her. However, he had apparently lied about being single. He had also spent a significant amount of money on this woman at the stripper club. But he gave up on marrying her when he found out I was pregnant. As my belly grew bigger, Jake realized that after the birth of the child, he would not be able to spend money freely. Afraid of being rejected by the woman, he thought of getting rid of me and the baby out of anxiety and desperation. Ultimately, Jake was sentenced to prison. Later, I decided to divorce Jake through a lawyer. He was ordered to pay damages for abandoning his responsibilities and compensation due to his affair with the stripper club woman. I gave birth to a healthy baby 5 days before the due date. My parents, who rushed to the hospital, were overjoyed and cried at the birth of their grandchild. After being discharged with my baby, I returned to my parents' house to start a new life. Being a mother is still a new challenge for me every day. My parents enjoy taking care of the baby and tell me to take it easy, but I can't rely on them forever. Once things settle down, I plan to look for a job and start working. I need to become strong to protect my child. Although the compensation from Jake is substantial, I cannot depend solely on that money. I had been too dependent on Jake, feeling weak and suppressing my own opinions. But from now on, I need to be independent to protect myself and my child. I don't want my child to face the same difficulties and struggles. Holding my baby, I firmly resolved to become a strong and admirable mother.